Hello everyone and welcome to the LingQ podcast with me, Elle. Are you learning English? If so, I have made this podcast episode into an English lesson just for you. Actually, you can find all past podcast episodes as English lessons on LingQ. There's a full course there. I'll always add the link to the lesson in the description. If you've never used LingQ before, it's an excellent way to learn a language. You learn from content you love. That means you choose the content. Podcast episodes, YouTube videos, news articles, music, lyrics, whatever you're into. You can create a lesson on LingQ and work your way through it, translating words and phrases you don't know, adding them to your own personal database. If you enjoy this podcast, please give us a like, subscribe, follow, share, and if you are listening on Apple Podcasts, feel free to leave a review. That way we can get in front of more listeners and help them learn English too. I am joined this week by another wonderful guest. I'm joined by Nate of the YouTube channel Nate's Adventures. He is a language coach and also YouTuber. Nate, thanks for joining us. How are you?
I'm very good. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to chat with you today.
Excellent, me too. Whereabouts are you joining us from today?
I am joining you from Los Angeles, California.
Ooh, very, very cool.
Yes.
Okay. And how are you guys doing down there in terms of the heat? Were you in that whole heat dome experience?
Yeah, it was pretty hot. It's still definitely very hot, but not as bad as it was.
Okay, good.
Like a week ago or so, but yeah.
Excellent. I guess down there you're more prepared. Is it mostly air conditioned, LA?
It is, yeah.
Good. That's great.
Yeah.
That's much needed in a 40-degree hellhole heat wave that we just had here. So, okay, good to hear.
Definitely, yeah.
So Nate, you run the channel Nate's Adventures, as I mentioned. You focus on Spanish, and your story is one thing that jumped out to me when I was reading your bio. You're a little different from the YouTubers I've had on before in that you actually learned a language in high school, right?
That's correct. That is correct.
Wow. So like you're in the minority, I would say. Most people
Yes.
in general, and also the YouTubers that I have on are like, no, it didn't work for me in high school. Then I went on to find my own methods. So how is it that you learned Spanish in high school?
Sure. Yeah, good question. Very common question. So, it's funny actually because like you said, I am definitely in the minority. To be honest, I mean, I can't speak for everyone here, but I feel like it's kind of one of those things where, when most of us are in high school, we're not necessarily interested in actually learning the language when we're in school. It's typically, I need to meet a requirement, or I just need to pass my classes or whatever so I can go to college kind of thing. So sometimes I feel that, because when people are in high school, they're like, I just want to pass a class and that's it. But also for me, I loved it. When I started taking classes, I was like, oh man, this is amazing. I love this. And so I just enjoyed it. And then because I enjoyed it, I paid attention and then I learned.
Excellent. As simple as that.
Yeah.
Did you have a particularly good teacher, would you say, though? Or was it more, like you say, your interest was sparked by the language? Or?
Sure, definitely a mix of both.
Okay.
I had great teachers throughout high school. The majority of them were Mexican, just because, LA is very close to Mexico. But yeah, it was definitely a mix of both. Me taking an interest to it and also my good teachers. Also, it's funny because I don't know if this applies to me, who knows, but I've read that a lot of the times if you're left-handed or you play an instrument or something else, that can help you learn a language easier. And for me, I've grown up playing instruments and I'm left-handed, so who knows? Maybe I have a little edge. Who knows?
Interesting. I haven't heard that before.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I need to ask people whenever they come on if they're left-handed to play an instrument, just to do my own research here.
Yeah.
What musical instruments do you play out of interest?
Guitar, piano, a little ukulele, but mainly the guitar and the piano.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I wonder if people listening can comment if they mostly are language learners because they're listening for that reason.
Right.
They
Who
also
knows?
play an instrument or are left-handed.
Right. Who knows?
Okay. So tell us about your channel, Nate's Adventures. It's obviously the focus is on learning Spanish. It's a super fun channel from perusing it myself. I'm not learning Spanish, but I enjoyed especially the video where you surprised the online teacher with your Spanish, kind of fumbling along and then bursting out with this perfect Spanish. That was really entertaining. So why did you start the channel?
Sure. So I actually started my YouTube channel when I was in high school. I was 17, and I was like, man, it'd be really cool to do this YouTube thing, you know? So Nate's Adventures was born, and at first my channel was just me going around doing fun stuff, going camping, going rock climbing with my friends. And then one day, this was maybe just over a year ago, I was like, you know, I speak Spanish. You know, I feel like making videos about it would be a good way to practice. And I thought to myself, you know, I want to share the language with people, and I want to share with people just how cool it is to know another language, whether that's Spanish or another language. And yeah, so I wanted to make kind of silly videos. I wanted to make like entertaining videos, kind of funny videos, as opposed to the typical like, hey, like, this is how you learn the preterite tense, or here's the subjunctive mood, like things like that. You know, the reality is less people are going to find that to be interesting or entertaining, right? It's not as fun. So I started making these silly videos, you know, surprising teachers with funny Spanish, or, you know, going out and trying different food, or hanging out with my friends speaking Spanish, things like that. And then the channel started to do pretty well, especially like the silly teacher videos and videos like that.
People love that. People need that. So,
yeah,
you know,
definitely.
It's about times, especially now.
Definitely. No, absolutely.
Yeah. So your website, SpanishWithNate.com, you offer Spanish coaching. Mm-hmm. What kind of methods would you say you use in your Spanish coaching?
Definitely. Okay, so good question. I've never been asked this before, so this is a good question. Well, it depends. It really depends on what the student needs and what their goals are, because I don't want to teach someone grammar if they just want to go on a, you know, trip to Mexico for a week or two. You know, that we're going to focus on, you know, simple phrases and things like that they can have down. But typically, I actually really like teaching grammar. I feel like a lot of times people think that grammar is this horrible thing. Maybe it's just the word grammar. People are like, that's scary. But I've never understood how you could learn a language to an intermediate or advanced level without learning some grammar. You know, I always say, you know, when you're learning Spanish, first off, you got to learn the present tense, the preterite tense, and the imperfect tense. And then, like, the informal future is important. But, like, if you can get those down, not extremely difficult tenses, you have, you know, a good amount of the main grammar that's used. It's kind of like the 80-20 rule. You know, learn 20% of the most important stuff, then you have 80% of the language right there. And then from grammar, that comes along with, you know, doing flashcards through, you know, whether it's Quizlet or Anki, are two great softwares for learning vocabulary. And then it's reinforcing the things you're learning in a classroom or in a book or a course, whatever, reinforcing that by going out and speaking with native speakers, whether that's in person or via, you know, an online app like Tandem or HelloTalk. That's kind of it is really using the language. You know, that's kind of the best way.
Okay, excellent. And that's, again, you're an outlier in that you enjoy grammar and enjoy teaching grammar. So, okay. You mentioned I checked out your website, and you mentioned in the bio on the website that learning Spanish has changed your life. And I mean, of course, in that you have this now coaching business and YouTube channel, successful, 50,000 subscribers, I think you just hit recently. Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
In what ways, in what other ways has learning Spanish changed your life, as you say?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, like you said, definitely the business side of it. I would have never expected that, so it's pretty incredible and really humbling that I can, you know, survive and make some money doing what I love. That's amazing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, to be honest with you, I cannot imagine what my life would be right now if I had never learned Spanish. because seriously, it is such an integral part of my life that like every day something going on in my life is relating to Spanish, especially in these past few years with creating these videos and everything. But I mean, just the opportunities that it gives you, to be able to like travel to Mexico or Spain or wherever and just chat with the locals, have these deep connections with people. One of the most meaningful things for me, and this never gets old for me, is meeting a stranger. Spanish is their first language, and they can speak some English. You chat with them a little bit in English, then you say, oh, you speak Spanish. You speak to them in Spanish, and they just do a 180. They're a whole new person. That is one of the coolest things for me. Like, I always say this in any interview that people do with me, is like, I love the quote by Nelson Mandela. He says, if you speak to a man in his second language, you're speaking to his mind, but if you speak to a man in his first language, you're speaking to his heart. And it's cheesy, but it's so true. It's like,
it's true.
Connecting with people on that deep level is like one of the most meaningful, satisfying things I feel like I've find in my life. So yeah, just the relationships I've been able to build, the places I've been able to travel to, the workout now that I get from my brain knowing Spanish.
Yeah, no doubt, for sure. So you're obviously an advanced speaker of Spanish, so maybe you just have advanced content in mind when I ask this question, but I wonder if you have any kind of book, podcast, movie suggestions for anyone listening who is interested in studying Spanish or just is looking for a great movie?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, okay, actually, Ollie Richards, I'm sure you're familiar with him. He has some great books in Spanish. If you just look up Ollie Richards, books in Spanish or whatever.
Right. Yes,
he's got those good short stories. I just watched this movie called Tell Me When, that it's on Netflix. It's a beautiful movie. It's set in Mexico City. That's really cool. I love Coco. Coco's my favorite movie in Spanish.
Oh,
so
yeah.
if you haven't seen Coco in Spanish, please go watch it because it's awesome. But yeah, those are my recommendations.
Perfect. So your life is obviously revolves around knowing Spanish and coaching it. Are you thinking about another language anytime soon, or are you just all about the Spanish?
Sure. Well, for me, when it comes to language learning, me personally, I don't want to know a lot of languages. I want to know a few languages at a pretty high level. So obviously, I'm already there with Spanish. Currently, I'm working on Mandarin and Chinese, and I've been doing okay. Much slower process now that I'm kind of in the adult world, so to say. I can't. Yeah. It's harder to go to Chinese class 45 minutes every single day. With everything that's going on in my life. But yeah, that is the current language I'm working on right now.
Oh, excellent. And will you be using any of the methods? I know it's difficult to say because you actually basically became conversational in Spanish in high school, which was how long ago? How old?
So I started when I was 14, which is 7 years ago. Yeah.
7 years ago, okay. So will you be using any of those same kind of methods to study Mandarin, or is it a whole different thing now?
Sure, great question. Me personally, I actually love the classroom setting of when it comes to learning a language, being in person with the teacher, because something that I found that helped me a lot when I was learning Spanish was asking a lot of questions. So, if you're not sure about something or you're still confused, just being able to ask questions constantly is so valuable. But yeah, still, I think grammar is so important. I think understanding that is really important. It's kind of a mixture. It's kind of like this base where it's like build your base off of grammar, then move on to learn new vocabulary, and then reinforce the grammar and the vocabulary via speaking with people, listening to audio, watching movies, immersing yourself in the language.
Okay, cool. And will you start making videos about your Mandarin learning journey?
Good question. I don't know. I'm not at any level close enough to where I think I could. It might be interesting, like you said, to do a little journey thing. But I think, honestly, my channel has kind of become primarily Spanish focused, and a lot of my viewers come from Latin America and Spain. So I think my channel will stay primarily Spanish focused. And actually I have an idea where I might create a new channel where I teach people, where I'm actually teaching Spanish. Because right now it's just, entertaining videos, conversations, things like that. I might make another channel and do both. Hey, today we're going to learn 25 great travel phrases from Mexico, or, whatever.
Right. Okay. Excellent. In terms of the channel Nate's Adventures, then, you have had some great guests on. You spoke with Steve Kaufman,
yes,
co-founder, of course. Are there any other guests in the works, or is there anyone you would like on?
Good question. I think it'd be interesting to talk to Ikenna.
Yes.
He seems like he seems like a really nice guy. I met him once at this online language conference. It was awesome.
Okay.
And we got to chat a little bit, but I've never really gotten to have a full in-depth conversation with him. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Ford Quarterman, he's a pretty cool guy. I like watching his videos. He's like a gringo guy. He travels around in Mexico, makes fun videos. Be cool to talk to him. Yeah, I mean, there's so many interesting people. I love speaking with people kind of in this space because, everyone's got the unique stories, and I think it's cool because in the language learning community, there's just a very strong connection, and everyone's very worldly and has many cool stories to share. So, yeah. Yeah,
and it's such a growing community, too. I've spoken about this before in other episodes, but it blows me away every week, every month, there seems to be a new channel popping up, and I love it. It used to be that there were very few
kind
of YouTubers or, known people for the language learning niche or community. So, yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
And how about for the rest of the year and moving forward for your channel? Do you have any plans for kind of projects or different videos you're going to work on?
Definitely, yeah. So with regards to my YouTube channel, my goal is, so I have 1 year of college left, or uni. I don't know if that's what you say in Canada.
Yeah, I guess, no, college. I'm from the UK, so we say uni.
Okay.
In Canada, I guess they say college.
Okay, well, college or uni, whatever.
Same thing.
I've got 1 year left, so my goal is, finish school, and then once I'm done, if I'm making enough money to be able to just go travel around, I'd love to go to Mexico for a bit and just make fun videos there. In other parts of Latin America, I've been to Spain, but who knows, I might go back. I think what would be awesome for Nate's Adventures is to turn it into less of surprising teachers with perfect Spanish, things like that, because to be honest, those videos do great. They get lots of views and they're entertaining, they're fun to make. But a lot of times I feel like a one-trick pony and I just get bored of them. So to have a combination of those kinds of videos with these fun travel videos, hey, we're in Mexico City and we're trying out these really cheap tacos versus these really expensive ones, things like that would be super fun.
Right. Sounds super fun. And what are you studying in college? Actually, I didn't ask you that.
I am studying marketing, yeah.
Oh, yes. Nice. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, I mean, so far you're doing really well with the channel and everything, so maybe you're using those expertise that you're learning along the way.
Yeah. Exactly.
Nate, well, listen, fantastic interview. Thank you for your tips and advice. I want to ask you one last question, actually.
Sure.
What would you say to anyone who is thinking about starting a journey, a Spanish language learning journey, and maybe needs a little confidence or advice?
Sure, absolutely. Well, just get started. I always say, like I said, I don't mean to come back to the grammar, but just get yourself a simple grammar textbook. You can just go on Amazon, Spanish grammar textbook for beginners, whatever, just so you can get started. And my other piece of advice, it's cheesy, it's general, whatever, is just enjoy yourself, because at the end of the day, yes, learning Spanish is a journey, it's a process. Sometimes it's going to be harder than others, but at the end of the day, you're learning the language to do something fun, right? You want to enjoy it. You don't want to hate the process, because learning Spanish is not this thing where you can learn it in a month and, speak this beautiful Spanish. It takes time. That's the reality. It's with anything. It takes time and it takes hard work. But you need to have fun during the journey, because I always tell people are like, wow, your Spanish is so good. I'm like, thank you. but I'm still learning. Like, I'm still getting better. It's important to have that mindset, you know. Immerse yourself, love the language, have fun, and be consistent.
I like that one. I need to take that advice in my language learning for sure. Well, great advice, Nate. Thank you so much. Best of luck in your final year of college, and best of luck moving forward with SpanishWithNate.com and Nate's Adventures. I'll pop the links to both of those in the description. And yeah, thank you so much for joining us, Nate. It's been a great chat.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you, Elle. I appreciated all your questions.
Excellent. Bye-bye.
All right. Adios.